next I'm going to show you how to do page 3. That's how this one looks. So we're going to gather our pieces. First thing is just page 3's front. Looks like this. Then we're going to grab one of the 3 smaller frames, not like the page 1 or the last page's frame. We're also going to grab the text that says Lady Silvara's Levitating Coin. Place that down. We're going to grab a brown layer where the tape might be holding, it might not, but you should get a bunch. You should get 6 of these tablet-looking inserts, is what I call them, or slot layers, as well as a layer that looks like this. Then you'll also get a layer that looks like this one, this piece and this. And then last but not least, there is a red layer. Should have tape, but it should have a bunch of small cutout pieces that look like maze pieces, as well as some of the toggles for page 1. We're going to take the tape off of that and get all of our pieces out of there. Lift our layer up. There's our main layer. This is throwaway. Make sure there are no pieces in it before you throw it away. It's also fun to just keep them and maybe do some decoration with it if you have that kind of mind. And these are my toggles. Pull these out of the way. Now we're also going to grab some other pieces that we need. So we need page 3's hooks. Look like this. We also need 2 of these, 2 of these. This is what they look like. You want them ideally to be opposite of each other, and there's a number of extras cut in there, so you should be able to find what you need. It's like that. See how they're opposite in terms of the other side? Ooh. Like this one I need to swap out. I'm going to put this one in here, because the grain matches a little bit better, and that one's still opposite though. There we go, that's better. And this is just me being picky, particular, but it just looks nicer overall. Makes all your colors match. So we'll put that on the table. We also need to grab 2 of these brown pieces as well for each set. So those. And these. Okay, anything else? We need one of these, obviously. Here. And also a hinge tab. Those 2 pieces. Alright, so first things first, just get out of the way, is getting all the pegs into the maze pieces. If your book is assembled already for you, we generally will only do some of them, but if it's an unassembled, you're going to have to put either. You don't have to put that many pegs in if you don't want to, but at the same time, if you want to be able to use the pieces, you might as well just do it so you don't lose the pegs. For this one, we're using Q2s, which are the thicker, shortest pegs. And we're just going to hammer them into the back side of our maze pieces, so on the side that does not have the engraving. We're going to have the pegs facing up towards us. The good side face down towards the table. And as I've said before, the easiest way to hold these smaller pegs, you usually have a needle nose pliers. Another way is just somehow using your skin. The way that I do it is I use my very tips of my fingers and the skin, kind of just like roll the dowel to the very tip, and I can kind of just hold it off to the side and just lightly tap the edge of the peg until it kind of grips / grabs inside the hex hole, and then I'm able to just let go and just hammer it the rest of the way. It does help to have a good sharp hard edge on your hammer. That way you can be a little more precise and precision based. However, I've noticed that when you use metal hammers versus rubber or hard plastic, metal will dent the wood if you're hitting the wood directly, and it will also kind of smash the dowel pegs a little bit, which can be good for making them stay in a lot longer, or just more permanently. However, that can lead to them also being hard to pull out or fix in the future if you need to replace something or want to change something about your book, which these books are intended to be torn apart / opened up and tinkered with. So use with your own caution if you're using a metal hammer preferably. Light taps can do a lot. Now, like I said, you don't have to put the Q2s in every single one of these, and I'll show you which one. It's shown on the paper exactly which ones you need to do to make the first puzzle that I created functional. The rest can be left off to the side. But as I said, it's just easier to just kind of get all the pegs in there, and then you don't have to worry about remembering where you put the spare parts in case you ever lose them and need to change some things around in the future. So, all right, now that those pieces are made, we're going to do the next little bit, which is the gluing of these guys. So these brown ones into the red pieces here. What I like to do is take a little bit of my wood glue. And I'll just kind of do a nice, right in the dead center of the brown square, I'll just do a ring of glue. It doesn't need to be very much. Like so. And then you just take it, and whichever side, so if you look closely, you can see that there's kind of like a little burned, rounded corner, and it kind of creates this like weird tapered in effect on the back sides, whereas the top side is more of like a perfect square. So inserting it from the underside or the burnt side or the bad side of the color, whichever you want to call it, you're just going to insert the brown piece and stick it as halfway, a little more than halfway up through. So there's just a little bit of it sticking still down on the bottom, the rest of it sticking out of the top. Should look roughly like something like that. You can see also how on the side it's a little thinner here and a little thicker on that side. You'll want the opposite for the other one when we do that one here shortly. And also wipe out any excess glue that gets out. Definitely don't want that in there. Alright. Now we just need to do that to the other one. So glue right down the center of it. Around the center of it, actually, not down the center, around the center. And then making sure that we're doing the opposite version of this piece. So I want it to look like that. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there should be a thicker side and a thinner side, and you want them to be opposite of each other, with the rounded end sticking up. The rounded end of the brown piece, there's a sharp end and a round end. You want the rounded end sticking up out of the good side of the piece. You want it to go mostly through, but not all the way through. You definitely want it to stick out the bottom a little bit so that the puzzle functions like it's supposed to. Wipe up the glue. Okay. Okay, that should be done. These we'll do in a little bit. Alright. So, next we're going to get these out of our way. Out of our way, out of our way. Alright, we're going to start with our first panel. We're going to flip it over onto its backside. We're going to then take our red layer and we're going to place that on top of it. there should be a number in the bottom left corner of the panel that says number 3. And that goes in the bottom right corner when facing down on the back side of the front panel that you've already placed down. Okay, so there's that. We're going to take those 2 little pieces we just glued, and we're going to stick them with the rounded ends face down with the thin side. Oh man, did I really? Of course I messed up, and I did it backwards. But that's why we have extras, guys. That's why we have extras. Somehow I messed up and put it in backwards. But at least you get to see that. I know that even I get this shit backwards. Excuse me. Alright, push this back in. Should be good now. Oh wow, I did it a third time. Alright. There we go. Okay. So now we should take our rounded ends and stick them face down with the thin side on the inside of the track. So the inside should be on this way. And the thick side should be on the outside. Okay. These pieces, there's a thicker side and a thinner side. Thicker side and a thinner side. You want the thin sides on the inside, thick sides on the out. You want them to have their little concave portion of it, the little cut, circle, arch, whatever you want to call it, facing towards the 2 pieces we just put in there. So this is how they should look once you've placed all the pieces in. Okay, next up is the brown layer, which we're going to take our beeswax or slip it, or maybe a little bit of well, maybe don't do sandpaper on this, only because you'll ruin the brown, and then you might see that. If you're going to do any sanding, I would sand the bottom of the red pieces we just did. That would get the trick done. If you don't have beeswax or slip it. Just helps the whole puzzle operate smoother. Flip It is a silicone lubricant, just in case you're wondering, but beeswax, candle wax, that also can work. It won't last as well or as long, but it will get the job done. And once the wood has been worked in enough times over time, you won't actually need the slip it / wax, because ideally wood would polish itself smooth over time, or it'd probably disintegrate. It's one of the 2. All right, put that on top. Try to keep them aligned. Don't worry too much if they're not aligned perfectly. Next, you're gonna wax / slip it your page hooks for page 3. And they have and the reason you know is because they have a little number 3 in the bottom of them, but they also look this way. They have this distinct shape. None of the other hooks are the shape this way. Just drop it into its slot. Same with the other one. Alright, now that's on there. We're going to put this layer on. Next, looks like this. Has a 3 in the bottom corner. 2 big circles, help distinguish it. And then, we're going to take a little bit of slip it / beeswax. We're going to apply it to the sides of our brown pieces here. These long, I don't know what you want to call them exactly. batons. They look like police batons, so call them baton pieces for now. Anyway, get the lower square red layer piece in there. It's hard to see on the camera, I know, but when you look down in here, you'll see the little red square's hole, the little square hole that this piece goes into. You're just gonna push this in there until it just inserts itself. It should sink flush to the white layer, like that. You just gotta repeat the process with the other one. You can stick down in there to kind of push the piece around too, if in case you don't fully see the hole exactly in the dead center or anything. Move it around that way. It does take a little bit of guessing just to get it in, but once it is in, you'll feel it sink down in there. All right. Next, I'm going to take Q5 dowels out of the bag. No, sorry, E5 dowels. E5s, sorry. E5s are the second longest of the thin dowels. The only reason you know that is because they are only just a hair shorter than the E6s that we did for page 1. Remember, if you're ever doing these two holes, try to make sure your page hooks are pushed out as far as possible, just in case that you don't want to hit them with your hammer and break them. That way when you put the dowel in, it's not an issue. So I'm going to put in these two hinge side ones for now. Still got to put the other 3 in, but I'm going to do this quick first with the magnets. So I'm going to check my magnetization. Alright, so my magnet, if I was facing the front of my page, and this is my main magnet key from page 1, I want it to attract that way, and I want it to repel this way. So when I flip the key over, it should repel when I push the face of it, the red face, towards this, and it should attract when I put this face down towards the main thing. So that means I want my attraction to face down when I'm putting it into these circles here. There's a circle here, and a circle down here. We're going to fill both of those gaps. Now, I'm going to take our outer layer, our last frame for the story panel frame, which is the back of the page. If you happen to have a really thin stick included with your order, this is sometimes included, sometimes not. Just depends on if we had it in the shop at the time or not. You can either put glue on these tabs here and try to avoid not putting glue in there if you can help it, because you might stick the page hook here. But these are just simple 1/8 inch dowels that you can get at any store, and I just stick them straight into these holes over here. It kind of just helps make sure that the page hook has a little more strength when you pushed it on the sides like that. Whereas as you can see, it's a little more movement there versus here. But it is not entirely necessary, and if you really do want to do something about it, just get an 1/8 inch thick dowel from anywhere. Just stick it in there, cut it off with some scissors or a knife, because it's thin enough to do that usually. I'm going to put the rest of my dowels in real quick for E5s. Make sure my page hooks are pushed out as far as possible. So I don't hammer them. See how my magnet bounced out? I'm going to double check it. Glad I did. Make sure I put it back in there like it needs to. Okay. Then I'm going to take my frame layer. I'm going to cover everything over the top. Make sure my page hooks are pushed out of the way so that it actually goes down. Line up the holes and hammer it on. And now that should generally be the majority of the work for the frame portion of page 3. We do still have some other things here though on the side, so we got to do this back panel first. So we want the story text, Lady Savara, flip it over. Take this layer. Doesn't really matter which way it's facing up, but I preferably always like the burnt side, you know, not visible. So I'm going to have the burnt side face down while my text is face down as well. So should be text, good side facing up this way, text facing out that way. Okay. I need E2 pegs for the corner holes. And E2s again are the super thin, are the thin, shortest pegs in the package. Again, these are kind of hard to hold, so use pliers if you need to. Then we have our brown layer pieces here. And on these, you'll see that there's a number engraved in their centers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This corresponds to the initial first layout that I created for my puzzle, but you can put them in any order that you wish in your book. It just allows you for different combinations. You can spin them, flip them, place them in different locations on the page, so long as there's obviously space, because some arts there's a short version and a long version. So in order to have it fit, you have to have a long and a short and a long, then a long and a short again, in order to make it fit. So certain ones, you can only do so many configurations, but my plan is to release more template models of these in the future, so you can mix and match to your heart's content. So what we need next is to put some E2s into the backs of these, and we really only need to put it into 2 of the holes. I like to do it for the longer ones diagonally, and then for the short ones I just put it into the only 2 holes that I have available. So E2s, just going to hammer into the back side, so the opposite side of where the number is appearing. You want the number to be on the front side of them, in order for this puzzle to work like it's supposed to. Right. And that's how they should look, each one of these brown pieces. Just make sure you always flip them over, that the number is face down. And it doesn't really matter which holes in the center you do, even on the 4s, if you just do the upper 2 or the bottom 2, it doesn't matter. I like to do it diagonally just because I know then that it's a longer piece automatically. So, and you can do this step at any point, but I'm going to just do it now since it's fast and easy. Basically, take your side with Lady Savara on the top. So when you're reading it, it'll be on your top left. When you flip it over, it's going to be now on your top right. You're going to put your number 1 up in your top left corner. And just insert, and it should be staying in there. They should be pretty snug. If you ever need to remove them, the idea is to simply just take a flathead screwdriver, maybe a butter knife, and just pry it underneath. And just kind of twist a little bit, just a light twist. We'll just pry them up. And there it comes off. So just insert it back in. And just go 1, 2, 3 along the top row. And then 4, 5, 6 at the bottom. And that is done for now. And we'll come back to it later on when we need to do the locking up process. But also don't forget to sand on the insides of these tabs a little bit. The rougher the grit, the easier it is to sand them. But you just want to round off those sharp edges. These 4 tabs, 2 on each side, that are sticking out. Otherwise, it's going to be a little hard to kind of get it to fit in there. The sharp edge like catches or something. They should just be rounded edges like that. Make sure your text story is going in the correct way. Okay. We're also going to put the magnets in really quick here at the end. Get your magnetization correct. Now remember, this magnetization for this hinge part matters less about the magnet key itself. It matters more with the hinge of the previous or the page in front of it or the page after it. So for example, here's the page 1 of this book. I'm going to take my 1/4 inch magnets and I find which side it tracks. So that's my traction side. This is the way I want it to stick up. So this is how I'm going to insert it into the page this way, so that it's not repelling through the book accidentally onto another page or something like that. So I'm going to hammer that one in first, put that into the page, and then I'm going to hammer the next one just lightly, just a little tap, just to get it started, and then hammer it the rest of the way into the open gap here. Then I'm going to take this piece, and I have the good side facing up towards me, tap my magnet in with a light tap, finish it, flip it over after I have my magnet in it, and then I'm going to put 2 E5s into it. They should be sticking up out of the bad side of this tab. I will also take my pliers sometimes and crimp the bottom of these pegs. It helps it go in a little bit easier, in and out easier in the future. But I think it also helps it grip at the same time. Just pinch them up a little bit like that. Maybe have some beeswax or slip it on the pegs themselves so it goes in a little smoother. Insert it into the page. And voila! The main frame is done. We'll come back and we'll put the maze pieces themselves in. Alright, so to attach page 3 and to lock it up and everything, the easiest way to do it first is to make sure it's not attached to the rest of the book due to the nature of how the puzzle pieces work. So you're going to take off your tab, it's holding it in there, pull off your main layer, flip it over. You're going to look to your Maze of Levitation template page. On there, it will show you the layout of the maze pieces themselves. including the number of holes that each piece would have, because some have a single, some have two, and where they go in there. So I'm just going to look for the pieces that match the layout. I'm going to place them onto my contraption. Now make sure you are putting the right ones in. So this is a single spinner, so I'm going to make sure that it can spin in the position that it's in. Whereas this one's a two-piece, and it has to slide, so I'm going to make sure that it can slide in the direction I want it to slide. And some are placed kind of as a way to block how the puzzle unlocks or how it would interact with the player. Some are just there just to kind of help fill in the space and make the puzzle look busy or misdirect, you know, the eyeball of the player as they look to see where to go as they're exploring the maze. And I try to include a few extra pieces too, so you can make your own versions relatively simply and with a number of options too at the same time, with the versatility of the brown pieces. And there's our layout. Now, before you try and apply this in, if you try and flip this over, these are all just going to fall out. So I'm going to set it down for a second. Now, I also realized that I don't have my magnets in here just yet, so I'm going to grab that real quick. And those are these two big ones. So there's the there's the full inch magnet, which is your Maze 1 main key, your levitating disc key. Then there are two 5/8 magnets. Depending on your instructions that you're looking at, it may say 1, but it's actually 2 is what I like to use now. So these should magnetize like so. And in order to get them, you flip your page over, make sure that you magnetize the correct direction, that you know which direction it's going to be magnetized in. And you should be able to just insert it into a slot that's right up in here. Up in there. On both ends. You should be able to insert your magnet into the slot, and you should hear it just click in there. It should magnetize the one that we put in there earlier. So this one did not, so I put that one in correct. So now I'm going to put it in the right way. And there, it clicked. So now you should be able to see your two magnets on top and bottom. Now, keep your page horizontal, flat like this. Make sure your page hooks are pushed out all the way. Grab your page and making sure that you have the orientation as if it's supposed to face you this way, just the way I'm showing it. And come in from the bottom underneath. And kind of tip your page like that. You may have to wiggle a little bit. Maybe some of the pieces might get in the way of a piece in the way. Mine's like catching on something, so oh, there we go. I just had to twist it a little bit. And there. Now my thing should be fully enclosed, that I should just be able to put my tablet, my tab in. And now I can let go of the page and I should be able to spin it, move it around. This page is basically ready to go, except it's not locked, obviously. So now we got to attach it to its spine and all that. So you would take this off. Keeping this flat, you do not want this to lift up. And if you're going to keep it this way, you do not want to lift up the page at all. So you want to keep it so that it's face down right now, so that those maze pieces don't fall out, you know, on their face. You're going to pull this thing out. You're going to attach this to the spine that comes with the book. If you haven't already made your spine yet, you would probably already have this attached to its spine. Bear with me 1 second. takes a second. All right. So this is kind of the quick and fast version of how to do the hinge spine. So you're gonna have your hinge with your corresponding number. So this is page 3. This one's a little dirty. I would definitely sand it down, maybe wipe it down a little bit better, or working with it specifically, so you're not dirtying the rest of the book. Sanding also works really well. Get rid of the soot. Make sure that your magnet is properly positioned so you know which orientation it is. And when the number would be on the top side, so I want it like this. That's how I want it to align. So I'm going to take this back out, flip my 3 over so my 3 is face down, orientate this so that it goes in the right way, hammer this down. Looks like this. Definitely don't want to sand that afterwards. So this looks like this. You're going to put it back into the page. It should stay magnetized in there, like it shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. Make sure though that you don't tip your page over accidentally, like I kind of just almost did. Now all my maze pieces are falling out. So I have to fix it and adjust it real quick. There we go. Put that back up in there. Tab back in. Now it's all locked, so I know it won't fall apart. Next, you would just hammer in these guys. Then you would find your spine dowels. And you would generally just begin to attach this page to the rest of the pages after they've already been built and have their own spines attached to this manner. So generally you would finish a page up to this point, and then you would come back and do the final dowel step or spine hinging, which the video already for that exists, and nothing really has changed in terms of that, but I'll show this quick one just so you know. I like to start by putting my spine dowel into the top hex end piece first, so that way when I insert it like this, I know that it's going to end at one point automatically. And then I'm going to put in, because this is a page 3, I'm already going to put in both connectors, one just facing either way on both ends. top as well. This dowel is actually too long, so I grabbed the wrong dowel, so I'm going to pull that back out. But from there, you would simply put in your last hex dowel top, lock washer, whatever you want to call it, hex washer, on top of your dowel here. And then the rest of the pages would just be attached there, and then everything would be locked. And then the fastest way to lock this puzzle, one, to make sure your puzzle is actually properly adjusted. There we go. There we go. And from there, you would have your page hooks open. You'd attach it to the top page of the other page that's going to be resting on top of. You would then push these little hidden bolt locks. You'd push in your page hooks to lock it, and then push in these little hidden locks all the way over, and then that should prevent the page hooks from opening. And you cannot open them unless you get the magnet from here and here into this space and this space to unlock both simultaneously. And that is how you do page 3.